Hey Carol, did you see that text I sent you?
Yes, I did. The one that said gardening books and grandma core, what's not to like or love?
Right? Doesn't get better than that.
It does not. And we are here for it, as the young kids say.
Welcome to the Garden Angelist, where we chat about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I'm Dee Nash from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I have already downsized my country garden as far as I'm going to this year.
And I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana. I have a suburban garden measured in square feet. It's about a third of an acre.
We are Garden Angelists because we love gardening and we want you to love it too.
Yes, we do. And we aren't afraid to tell all of our gardening secrets, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. But that's anyway, let's move on to this week's episode. Good morning or good afternoon, Dee, I should say.
Yeah, we had to meet afternoon because I had to go do some stuff this morning. I appreciate you waiting. So, garden
Happy to do so.
updates. You were busy this morning, actually. I worked hard yesterday.
I was I well, last Sunday I went to the Flower and Patio show the very last day, and the Peonies Envy, which sells peony roots online.
Yeah, I bought tons of them from her. Uh-huh.
She had a booth there, and I talked to her for probably a half hour before I'm like, I should see the rest of the show. And so then I went to the other building where the speakers were, and I talked to Abby of Abby's Garden Parties. She's a
Uh-huh.
fun lady, and she has a terrarium store, but it's so far north. But I did buy a peony root, as one
How
does.
could
And
you
I,
not?
well, and she'd come all the way from New Jersey, and I thought, I don't know if the crowd that comes through here are peony root buying people.
I
So,
mean, I wish she'd come here. We are, but that's okay. Nobody's probably invited her.
well, she had some intersectional peonies that were $129. I'm like, well, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna buy one of those. But did buy, and I kept the tag so I could tell you. Pink Baroness Schroeder. The hybridizer as unknown, and she is pre 1928. So I thought, well,
Nice.
for my pink garden over there, why not?
That'll be pretty.
Yes. And
So,
then
what's your weather been like?
up and down. So it'd be cold and then it would not be cold. But I did get all the seeds for lettuce, radish, spinach, kale sown in the garden Thursday morning. And I also planted out some onion sets for some red onions. And then in my
Mm-hmm.
sunroom, the seed rolls that I did for all the onion seeds, those all are
Uh-huh.
sprouting. So all is good. And
Mm-hmm.
then, as you know, when I went to Costco, and I've been there twice this week. Anyway, I was texting you because they had elephant ears and caladiums in bags, and I don't normally, not me. I'm too good for that, except when I'm not too good, and I did buy some.
What's that? You found some good ones.
I did, and I'll talk about those in my garden commissions. I did some light
Okay.
weeding. I cut back a lot of spirea to rejuvenate them, because spirea can kind of get big and parts of it'll die out, and you kind of have like a mess of a shrub. So every couple of years, I just cut those way back. And so I've cut them way back at my house. And then I went to my sister's condo this morning, and she's got a bunch that have just kind of back and forth. So I said, let's just rejuvenate, prune them this spring. So she reminded me. So I ran over and did that. And let's see, I put my rain gauge out. So it's officially spring. And we'll talk about that when I get to my favorites. D,
Okay.
you had a big week too, and I kind of jealous of the first thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, my vintage concrete planters.
Yeah, yeah. And you
Yeah,
knew they were special because you had to text me a picture. Look what I got.
I did.
You did.
I did.
You
I don't
did.
even think I sent you the third one. I think I just sent you the one picture of
If
the one.
no, you
The
sent me the
third
one
one's
of them.
even cooler.
You sent me all the ones in the back of your vehicle.
Oh, that's right. I sent you that. Not a placement picture, a back of vehicle picture.
Yes, and if you have them placed, then we should put those in the newsletter.
That'd be a BOVP, back of vehicle picture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you needed to
Yeah,
show them
I have
in.
I have a I have a friend and she does these pop-ups. And so, yeah, I was there fast, man. I got them before anybody else. And then everybody else was asking for them apparently. So I haven't really put them online because I don't want to make people mad. Um, okay, so let's see, what else have I been doing? Oh, yeah. So I thought I was going to put those concrete planters around the potager, but I actually put the two that are urn shaped in front of my arbor to the back garden because
Oh, I hate you
because
now.
because now that I've downsized it, it looks very French, and that will be a tease for the rabbit holes. Okay, so
Yes.
then I have worked so hard this week I can barely move. I just had to take more drugs before this deal after I had some food on my stomach. The pond was full of leaves. And that was even though we put netting over it, even though we did all
Right.
the
Oh,
things,
yeah.
because of that windstorm, it blew them straight into that north wind blew it straight into it, and it was just causing a mess. So the funny part is this is representative of my entire marriage with Bill. Okay. So Bill tells me I'm going to do the leaves this weekend because we have a leaf shredder.
Right.
And before the people jump on us about the leaves, because they're out there, the leaf people, um, we don't shred every leaf. We have I can't tell you how many leaves we have because we have hundreds of trees on our property, even after the fire. So we shred the ones on the fescue lawn right out front, and we shred the ones on around the pond because it just gets
Right.
piled up. All right, so he fires that baby up while I'm off at an appointment. I come home and he says, I just got it going. I've done all, aired up the tires, all la 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 la, right? He makes two passes and the doggone thing died.
Oh, no.
And then we couldn't get it started again. And so he trundled it off up to the garage, and I ended up doing all the leaves by gosh and by golly. So it about killed me, but I got it done. And then while I was doing that, I was lying in bed awake that night because I was sore. And I thought it needs some elephant ears, and I didn't save any last year. So I went and ordered three varieties of elephant ears. And no, I didn't buy them at Costco. I bought them from Holland Bulb, actually. Gila Beauty, they're all Dr. Cho varieties. Gila
Uh-huh.
Beauty, Diamond Head, Hawaiian Punch. I have grown Hawaiian Punch and Diamond Head before. I've not grown Halo Beauty. So I'm going to use them in the pond. And then I worked in the back garden. And the one, oh, I didn't work on that one. I thought I was going to work on that one. So see, I put that in my notes and I didn't. Instead, I worked on the border, the garage border, and I dragged all the leaves out of it. And one of my friends called and she said, why don't you just get a rake and rake them out and then run over them with your lawnmower? And I was like, oh, to do that, I would have to add on the lawnmower attachment that bags things, which I have a riding lawnmower. Then on top of
Right.
that, if I drag those out with a rake, all of my daffodils would have been kaput.
Yeah.
So I had to take them out by hand. And I had already taken them out, but that storm did it. So it was a lot of work. And then I mulched both borders with my arborist chips. And I pruned all the roses. So all I've got left to do that I haven't gone through at least once is this little triangular garden right outside my window. That's it. That's my
You've been
report.
busy. You've been
I
busy.
have.
I haven't pulled leaves out yet because we are supposed to get a bunch of weather this weekend. And I thought, well, let's see where they go first.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I didn't know we were going to have those giant, deals. And we don't burn the leaves. We don't bag the leaves. We just put them in a compost pile really far away from the house. So all the little bugs are fine. And somebody's going to ask, why don't I use those shredded leaves anymore? Because they're an incubation place for ticks. The end.
The end. Let's play favorites.
You go first. I'm tired. I talk too much.
So I should say it's this sweet little violet that I had grown from seed years ago and is planted on the west side of my house. And they come up and they bloom early in the spring and they're really lovely pink. And the best I can do is say that they're a Transylvania violet, Viola
Mm-hmm.
Jui, Jooi, Jooi. but I don't know for sure. But that is not my favorite this week. My favorite this week are the spring beauties, Claytonia virginica, which are
Hmm.
like, if you had to say, what's your favorite wildflower besides violets, it's going to be the spring beauty.
They are
And a couple
pretty.
years ago, I had transplanted a bunch and they've shown up again, second year in a row. So they get to be the favorite this week because when the spring beauties are blooming, it's go time out there. Ever since
It
I was
is
a
go
kid,
time,
I knew that.
right? My
Yes.
garden is dotted with the blue-eyed grass right now, I think. It's the
Uh-huh.
little grassy plant that has little blue flowers on it. It's all over my grass. I could be wrong on that because I didn't look it up before the podcast, but that means it's go time here. That and henbit.
Oh, I
Henbit
got
means
tons
go
of
time.
henbit. I am a henbit haven over here. In fact,
We
that's
are
an
too.
alternative name for my garden, henbit haven. Lord have mercy. There's so much of it out there. Uh, henbit
Here
haven.
too.
Welcome to
Henbit
henbit.
and dandelion something. I got that too. I
Golly
don't
geez.
care. It's okay. So my favorite this week, I really have two because they'll both be gone by our next podcast. My clove currant, which is either Ribes odoratum or Ribes aureum. And don't ask me which, because the
Well,
names keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I saw the picture of them out there and the beautiful yellow flowers, and so I'm gonna pick
Mhm.
Arium because that's what usually means it's got yellow or something in it.
Usually, or yellow foliage. So I don't know. It also smells good, so odoratum. It scents the entire garden. Is the most
Cool.
amazing plant.
Cool.
Before people ask, it was really hard to grow. It took me 3 tries at least. And now I have 3 shrubs, and they're all in different parts of the garden, and they're all happy. Who knew?
Yay.
All right. The other part is my royal raindrops crab apples. I fell in love with a picture of those when they first came out. Had to order them. I've tried to grow 3 in a line up on the top pasture. Never could get the third one. I replaced it twice, gave it up, and said, you know what? 2 shall be there.
Two shall two shall reign.
2 shall reign. And you know what they do? They are beautiful. So,
Cool.
yeah,
Very nice. Well, we should get pictures for our newsletter if you will be
we
kind to
will.
send those to me. So,
Except
question.
aren't I writing it this week?
Yes,
Because I now write it because you do everything else.
I will insert the reminder for you. How's that?
That's awesome. See, this is how the behind the scenes. Even if I do write the newsletter, Carol's done all the hard work for it. That's
I've
the
got
truth.
I got the links
But
and everything.
she gets the
Anyway,
links. We try to have them in here in our notes. All
yeah.
right, question of the week. Can I read it since it's from your sister? The first
Yes.
one? All right, ready? You can read the second one. From Carol's sister, I have big dead patches in my lawn. Could it be grubs? Oh, she sent pictures. So what do you think it is?
Well, I was out and about and she said, I'll send you some pictures. She said there's quite a bit of dead in her front and in her
Hmm.
back. And she said, well, they told me that in the back there's too much shade. And I'm like, she sent me pictures. And here's the thing. So she lives in this neighborhood, and then around the corner, her daughter and family live in the neighborhood. They use the same service, lawn service.
Okay.
And so I said, well, dig around the edges. Just tell me, do you see any grubs in the soil? Because for the amount of damage I was seeing, there had to be a
Yeah.
huge population. She found one. And then I said, did you notice a lot of Japanese beetles last year? No. Did you walk along when you were mowing in the late summer, early fall? Did you have like little moths coming up from the ground? Those are the sod webworms. No. And I said, this is complicated.
Yeah.
I don't think it's grubs. My personal opinion is her lawn service put something on there they shouldn't have. And then she and her husband walked
Hmm.
around the neighborhood and
Uh-huh.
it's her daughter and her, the only ones that seem to have this problem. And I said, okay, I want you to call the county extension to see if they have a turf expert who would look at it.
It's a chemical issue, isn't it?
It is. I said, we need to get some soil samples sent off to see what's,
Hmm.
and then I said, you got to call back the company you were working with, which she said they've been mysteriously silent this year. Normally they would have called and said, we're ready to do the pre-emergent first
Yeah,
application. And I said,
yeah.
do not let them put a pre-emergent on that lawn because it looks to me like you're going to have to totally reseed. Oh, I mean, they have big lawns. I'm just, anyway, it's so bad that when she gets somebody to come out there, hopefully next week, I might
Mhm.
drive out to the west side of town to be there
I
because
think you
it's like,
should.
this ain't normal. This
No,
is a
no.
mystery.
And you and I will just, for those who are new listeners, you and I don't use chemicals on our lawns just because we don't mind all the little extra things God sends us, like the little flowers
Well,
and
and I
things.
had told my sister, so what I was doing is I allowed them to spot treat for weeds in front, but no weed killers in the back with all the crocuses.
Right?
And I told my sister that because she's got her grandkids playing around her yard and her daughter's yard. And so she was
Hmm.
thinking about doing the same. And
Right.
then they're just like a no-show. It's like, do they know something? But she said her daughter
Well, here's
did
the
call
thing,
them.
they probably did the same thing to everybody's lawn.
I don't know, because there's a couple of people in my neighborhood that use that service. And so I haven't noticed it for them, but it could be there was a
Yeah.
bad batch for their neighborhood. I don't know.
Mm.
It's the plot thickens, and
You
we were
said
texting for an hour back and forth.
you said your niece called them.
She called them, and they're supposedly coming out next week to have a look. And it's like, don't throw any, don't throw some shade, people. I think you did this.
Yeah, take lots of pictures. All right, so then our second question, I'll go ahead and read it too because you may have to answer it. This is from a text. Hey Carol, hey Dee, I am building raised beds. I know that cedar is a great choice. Yeah, it is. But the cost is holding me back a little bit. Understandable. I figured you two would be great sources to ask. Do you have any other suggestions that might be a little more cost effective but safe to grow veggies in? Thank you kindly, Logan. Well, Logan, here's the deal. If you don't want to use chemically treated wood, which I understand because you're going to grow vegetables in there, any wood will work, is what I answered back because you sent me the text and said, what think you? And I said, well, any wood will work. It's just cedar lasts longer.
Exactly. Now, when we say cedar, we're not talking about those smooth cedar boards
No.
that they are selling you to line a cedar closet. These are rough sawn boards, usually.
Yeah, usually from big giant junipers like the ones that grow here.
Rough sawn boards and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
my
Why
raised
not?
beds, I had cedar and it eventually rotted.
Me
So I
too.
switched out and I have those 4 by 12 inch by 2 inches thick pavers or something like that. And yours is like, because your husband's in the paving business, you have a beautiful potager, but you have the Vago beds, which are also an alternative, but they're
I
not
also have
cheap.
my flower bed too. The cut flower beds that are 4 by 4, they're just the same kind of boards that you had, which are the 12 inch and they're 2 inches thick and whatever. They're
Yeah,
so
I
long, four
at the
foot long.
time because they were pricey even when I did that 27
Mhm.
years ago. I bought 1 inch boards. They're just going to rot faster, but it was just a little bit cheaper.
It is a
So,
little bit cheaper. So those are all options for Logan.
yeah. So he'll find something and
And
hmm.
concrete pavers work great. I mean,
Uh-huh.
my potager and your concrete pavers are excellent. And then you never have to replace those.
No,
They
no. Now they get a little
been there forever.
cattywampus in the spring
Mine's
sometimes, and I got to straighten
cattywampus.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's another mystery for you, Dee.
Mhm.
So I was out there the other day, and I went around by the compost pile, and one of those pavers is in the middle of the path. Now,
Who
what
knows?
could have moved it there?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't think they're too heavy for raccoons to move.
Well, I don't know. Raccoons are pretty impressive
But anyway, it's sitting there and
destructive
I kind of
creatures.
left it. So, but yeah. And by the way, that's another thing I did. I put new liner down the paths of my vegetable garden.
Mhm.
It's, it doesn't, it doesn't hold down with the staples as well as the previous did. So after I sowed all my seeds, I had to kind of one of them was just like flapping in the wind. I was like stapling it all down, and I might have to get some more staples and just get that
Mhm.
thing all secured everywhere. So anyway,
Now, remind me, did you put anything on top of that or you just doing the
no, I have never gone to the extent of getting like rock and putting in the
brush
paths.
or mhm.
And, I don't know. It's like, I probably should because I try to think that, well, those aren't permanent beds out there, but they're lined with
They've been
concrete
there
pavers.
forever. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, but then again, that's one of those things that I would hire that out. That's a lot of work. And I'm getting to be an old lady.
Yeah, I mean, I shoveled all my rock in my beds and I have shoveled it every year since, but this time I actually asked Lou's guys, I said, could you ask them that extra rock from the old beds? Could you ask them to shovel that into the paths? He said, absolutely, Dee. And you know what? Those boys, they were all of 20. They
Yeah.
shoveled it so fast, it was like lightning.
Yes, they're
Impressive.
used to doing it. So speaking of old, I'm going to do our quote, and I found us an old poem from the 1800s, D.
Cool.
It's from a poem called Easter. Let all the flowers wake to life. Let all the songsters sing. Let everything that lives on earth become a joyous thing. Wake up, thou pansy purple-eyed, and greet the dewy spring. Swell out, ye buds, and o'er the earth the sweetest fragrance fling. Why dost thou sleep, sweet violet? The earth has need of thee. Wake up and catch the melody that sounds from sea to sea. And that is by Fanny Isabel Sherrick, 19th century poet from Missouri. And D, I know how to look up old people. There's hardly anything about her on the
Hang on
internet.
to her.
Nothing. You can
You
get a
know,
digital copy of her poetry, which I did for free. I downloaded a Kindle book for free. And this is probably the best two verses I've found. But geez Louise, talk about somebody that disappeared.
I think she wrote that for her Easter service at her church, and
Probably.
she was probably the organist. I just have this feeling. It sounds like
Well,
that.
I did determine that she had a twin sister. How's that?
Mhm. There were a
Other than
lot of
that,
twin sisters back then, and
other than
often
that,
they lived together. Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, flowers topic. We went back to our alphabet. D is for,
Dahlias. And we mean the letter D, not D Nash, by the way.
mm-mm,
Everyone's darling is the dahlia. So popular right
no.
now. I have not jumped on the dahlia train as we have talked about before. I'm on the zinnia train with you, but
I've grown them. I've grown them off and on over the years, but like we've said before, dahlias and zinnias are both from Mexico. One comes from the Mexico plains. That would be the zinnias. The dahlias come from the Mexico mountains. And what does that mean? That means they have warm days and cool nights. Does that sound like either of our states?
we can have cool days. Oh, that was the mailman. He's just gonna
No,
have to.
cool nights in the middle of summer when they bloom.
We People do successfully grow dahlias around here, and
I
when I
know.
but here's the thing about dahlias, darling.
They're a
Um,
lot of
I
trouble.
I would say if you're into dahlias, this is the time to and I keep looking around. Let me pause for a moment. I do believe that the postman has delivered the Jane Austen's garden book to me today.
Oh, this was last week's book.
Yes. And so the post office didn't say we finally found it, but bookshop.org sent me an email and said it's being delivered today. And I'm like, okay, it's supposed to
Okay, I'll
arrive on the
believe you.
10th. Today's the 27th. Anyway, back to dahlias. So, you're gonna have to stake them, by the way, the big
Yeah, you
tall
have to
ones.
stake them. And my girlfriend Lori, the one who died last year, she had all of hers in one bed and they were all staked. And she used rebar to stake them, but then they painted the rebar the same color green as the dahlia foliage. Their commitment to the dahlia, I applaud them because that is
Yes,
hard. I I am all about let's not make why is my hair doing that? I'm all about let's not make this worse and more difficult than it is already in my garden. I have enough
yes.
prima donnas. I don't need prima dahlias.
Very good, Dee. And so I will say this, the best tip that I ever heard about dahlias, which you do have to dig in my climate, they won't overwinter in the soil,
Hmm.
is to when you dig it and you cut off the stem, turn it upside down that tuber with the stem side down to drain the water out of the stem because it is a
Right.
hollow stem. That helps to keep them from rotting. And if you have like some hardware cloth, like to make a shelf, then you can put them all anyway. A lot of work, but
Here they can overwinter outside if they have really good drainage and if we don't get a
yes.
terrible cold snap. And they grow them very successfully above Tulsa. I have grown them. I've brought them inside. I've done all the ways, and I'm just not that committed.
No.
Next is, which is next? Oh, is that
Dianthus.
it? There we go. There was a lot under Dahlia. Okay, so Bath's Pink you picked out in particular. Do you know that Bath's Pink Dianthus was one of the very first plants I ever grew?
I did not know that, Dee, when I picked this out. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is a little nostalgia moment for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I know exactly where it was too. Right next to a pink peony. Looked great.
So you don't have it
Lasted a
anymore?
No, I have the peony. Peonies last forever.
Yeah, they do. Well, Bath's Pink can
It
last
eventually
forever
died out.
too.
It can, but this one just eventually fritzed out.
So actually, a friend had just gave me a grocery bag full of them, I don't know, 12 years ago or something.
Uh-huh.
And so I've got them over in the pink garden, and there's a small retaining wall. It's maybe a foot tall from the grass. And they're kind of like on the edge of that, and they just kind of flow over. And so I get a mass of pink blooms in late spring and then nothing. I mean, then you just have that silvery foliage. But Dee, I could literally shove some in an envelope and send it to you, and I would bet that it would still grow, even if it got lost at the Indianapolis post office for a few weeks on
I
its
mean, it
way.
is very, very tough and it's very, very drought resistant. I think I
It is.
lost it in one of the years where we had flooding rains in the
Yeah.
spring
Yeah,
and
that
it was
would
just too
probably
much for them. So it's a
there
great plant.
there are other dianthus, and I have tried some of the others, and I have a few of them still
Hmm.
out there, but don't ask me their names. But I think that Dianthus Bath's Pink is a real nice, just forget about it. Just put it someplace where it gets sun and a little bit of dry soil and just forget about it. And it'll
And
just
don't over mulch it.
don't over mulch it. Just kind of
Hmm.
almost treat it like you would a lavender.
Exactly. Has a very shallow root system. So our next one you picked out was Dichondra. I love Dichondra. Dichondra Silver
Silver
Falls.
Falls. Yes.
That's my favorite one, and it's beautiful in pots. And here's a tip for people. I have grown it from seed, and it took 100 years. That was the slowest plant of all time. So buy plants. Don't do what I did.
So I have another tip for you.
What's that?
Don't buy the straight species that's just the green leaf.
Oh, I hate that one. It's ugly.
Because if it escapes into your garden, then you will have it as a ground cover in your perennial bed forever.
Like Carol?
Yeah. Yeah, I have that crap everywhere. And I'm like, I do, I arrived at this lot and it was a blank slate. And times they change, but that I don't know how that dichondra got out of a pot, but it's all over this one bed. And then of course I accidentally planted Vinca minor or major or
Oh,
whatever.
Vigor, I think it's Vigor Major, but
Yeah.
whichever one, the perennial one that every once in a while someone will
Yes.
say, I have this plant and it just has taken over my backyard. And I'm like,
Yes.
it's one of three things. And one of them is the vinca. And we aren't talking about the tropical vinca that you set out when it's really hot and it'll grow
Yes.
anywhere. That's fine.
We're talking
This is
about the
the
ground
perennial
cover.
one. Oh, it's
Anyway,
terrible.
but anyway, Dichondra Silver Falls, excellent pot filler. Just don't let the straight species get loose in your garden.
Okay. And then you have this little tidbit at the end. Should we talk about
Snapdragons.
snapdragons?
And when we get to the veggie, you'll know why I said that.
Okay, do you want to talk about snapdragons?
No, I
Mine
want
are
to do a
still
quote.
tiny.
I
I
want
think
to
I'm
do a
not,
quote.
I don't think mine are going to make it into the garden this year because they did not get going. Okay,
By
I'll
the
do the
way, did you
quote.
see my mug?
Oh, it's the one I gave you.
It's
Mine's
pretty.
just Starbucks. So I was in
Yeah.
town. There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurances that dawn comes after night and spring after winter. And that's Rachel Carson.
So you wanted to talk about dill, and I thought, okay, why did you want to talk about dill? Because you said sure to put dill on the list.
I like dill. I think dill is great to grow for butterflies, especially the swallowtails. They
Yes.
love it, and I now kind of use it quite a bit. I didn't before, but I eat a lot of fish now. So I put a lot of dill on my fish, and I really like thalia dill. That's my favorite. There's another one called Diana or something like that. And you're going, Deanne, for Pete's sake, dill comes up everywhere in my garden, aren't you?
Just comes
Yeah.
up, just dill comes up everywhere.
Doesn't in mine. Go figure. I
Go
have to start
figure.
it. I have to start it
Oh
indoors.
Lord. I do have some dill microgreens that are ready to go in my microgreen.
Yum.
Yeah, so those look pretty good. I actually let them
Those would
grow
be good
pretty.
on fish.
I let them grow pretty tall, so they're ready to go. I don't eat a lot of fish,
I
so
know,
no.
that's why I'm teasing. I'm teasing you because you don't eat fish. You're Catholic and you don't eat fish. That's funny.
So I coming up with other vegetables that start with D.
Hmm.
I couldn't, so I decided, well, let's do ones that start with have the word dragon in the variety name, which is why I said snapdragons.
So, but you
So
would never eat a snapdragon. That would be bad.
yeah, you would never eat a snapdragon, but there's a cucumber called dragon suyo,
Yeah.
which is one of those Japanese type cucumbers, the real long
Yes.
ones. And then I found dragon pepper dragonfly,
Uh-huh.
which is an All-America winner from 2022, and I think I grew it. It has purple fruit. And then there's some hot peppers with dragon names. There's dragon roll and dragon cayenne. I saw both of those on Burpee. And so often the word dragon is symbolizes hot. Not in the case of the dragonfly pepper, but in other peppers. And then have you
You
had
eat?
dragon's tail radishes?
No, I've never even seen those. What did they look like?
Well, it looks like it's a radish,
It
but
comes
instead
down
of
like
eating
that?
the roots, you let it go to flower, and then it has these really long seed pods that are purple. And we can probably get a picture. We'll probably steal a picture from Burpee or whatever, just give them credit.
Uh-huh.
But you're supposed to eat the seed pods. And I never got around to eating the seed pods, but they were fun to grow.
I bet they were fun to grow. That'd be a really fun vegetable to grow with a grandchild or a child or a neighbor
Yes.
or a
Yes.
niece or a nephew.
Yes. And
Fun.
then there's dragon's tongue wax beans from Burpee. I found those. It's an heirloom
I've grown
variety.
those. I've grown
And
those
this
dozens of times.
it's a shelling bean. You grow it to dry and
I grew it to eat. I just ate it. But yes, you could dry it and eat it dry if you want
because
to
it
and eat
has
them
sort of a
fresh.
cream colored pod with red
It's creamy
striping.
yellow. It starts out green, it turns creamy yellow, and it has
Has red
purple
stripe.
striping.
Yes.
Purple. Yeah.
There you go.
I've grown it. I can't tell you how many times. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite beans because it's very meaty and it's just really good to eat.
So anyway, that's my since we couldn't think of any other vegetables that start with D and didn't bother to go look up anything, I came up with dragons.
Okay, cool. I like it
And it'll tie into something further down the way. But here's a
because
quote for the
everything does.
and when your back stops aching and your hands begin to harden, you will find yourself a partner in the glory of the garden. Rudyard Kipling.
Yes, well, mine's still aching. My whole body hurts after this week, but it's okay. It was
I'm
fun.
doing pretty good. I'm
Yeah,
doing
but it's
pretty
because you
good.
didn't try to do as much as I did last
I
week.
did quite a bit, I'll have you know. I did all that cutting back of spirea. I mean, I wasn't just like slacking out there.
Well, you weren't slacking, but you didn't try to take all the leaves out of a bed and remulch it
No,
or clean all
no.
the algae out of your pond after you dragged all the leaves out. I win this week.
So on the bookshelf, winner, winner, chicken dinner. The Big Bad Book of Botany, The World's Most Fascinating Flora by Michael Largo. And we
Mhm.
got this book because I saw it at Barnes& and Noble, thought it looked really good, and
Mm-hmm.
said, you know what, I'm going to check that out of the library. Did you get your copy out of the library?
It hadn't come yet.
Oh,
Sorry. You go ahead.
so the
Tell us all
interesting,
about it.
okay, so the interesting thing, Dee, which kind of ties into our overall theme is this is an A to Z book. So it's like an encyclopedia
Oh,
of weird, fascinating uh
botany facts.
botany facts. And so I like books like this. So I did end up ordering a good used copy.
Oh, you did?
It
Of
hasn't
course you
arrived
did.
yet. And I got it from a secondary seller. So by the time it goes through our post office, who knows?
You might get it someday.
So anyway, got a chapter on dahlias in here.
Uh-huh.
Um, they got a chapter on the death cap, which is we talked about foraging a couple of weeks ago. And
Yeah, it's
then,
a mushroom.
the death cap, well, it's a very poisonous mushroom.
Right, you don't want to eat it.
Yes. It says people who eat death caps will feel fine for the first 10 to 14 hours, after which horrible things will happen to your
They will
digestive
die.
system.
Yeah.
Bizarrely, a reprieve of normalcy follows this distressing period, lasting a few days, um, just long enough to make one think his or her recovery is complete. This is not so. The mushroom's sneaky toxins are now doing their deadliest work. It just sounds horrible. After 3 or 4 days, the liver or kidneys will fail and the person will die. That sounds horrific. We
I
need a
don't know,
happy.
can people, is there any way to help them if they eat a death cat?
You know what? I get myself to a hospital like right away to get my stomach pumped out.
Yeah.
Now, so they also have, I'm not making this stuff up, dragonwort, which is an Artemisia dranunculus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it says dragonwort or tarragon is a polymorphic perennial herb from the family Asteraceae. So there's the dragon thing again. But anyway, if you are like me and you like little fun facts and to bore your family with, hey, did you hear about this is a real fun book. So I'm
It
glad
is fun. Tell
I
me
got it.
why do ginkgo trees stink? I know it's the fruit. Because
Let
that's
me
always a
just
big deal when you buy a ginkgo. Did you buy a female or did you buy a male? And you can't tell until they're older, supposedly. But why do they
um
stink?
I'll tell you here in a minute.
Sorry. I should have asked ahead of time.
Says when gathered in a sort of compost heap manner, the seeds give off an overpowering smell, often described in horticultural literature as repulsive, disgusting, or offensive, even
Mhm.
earning comparison to the odor of vomit. I always say it
Yeah, I was
smells like
gonna
dog
say,
poo.
yeah, they're gross.
The smell
Okay.
comes from a malodorous chemical known as butyric acid, which is found in every ginkgo seed.
Huh. Maybe it's to stop something from eating them. I
But
don't know.
yeah, and I just like books like this, full of fun little facts and everything. So I bought myself a copy to
Okay,
read
so
through.
I think I need one. It says the avocado, though delicious to humans, is toxic to most animals.
I love some avocado.
I do too. Yeah, I find it a little hard now to eat because it's high histamine, but still I do love it. Well, that was an interesting book. Thank you.
It is interesting. I was going to say, I was going to see why um, I don't know why it's poisonous to most other.
I don't know either. It just said it was. Very
Uh,
interesting.
there are cave drawings in Coxcatlan, Mexico from 10,000 years ago that display an image of an avocado along with fossil evidence prove it was an important food source among Aborigines.
Yeah, because
That's
it's high in
interesting.
fat and vitamins and all kinds of
I
stuff.
love that.
This is very fun. That's why I liked botany so much.
Yeah, this is a very fun book. So anyway, it is The Big Bad Book of Botany, The World's Most Fascinating Flora by Michael Largo. The book actually came out in 2014, by the way. I did look that up.
So you can get a good used copy.
Yeah, and actually the copy I bought on Amazon was they said brand new overstock, free shipping. Okay.
Cool. All right, ready for the next quote?
I am.
The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. W.B. Yeats. Dirt.
So you put this on
Oh,
our dirt list.
I know,
Dragon
right?
fruit?
Yeah, it's called Long Gun. So we go, one of the few restaurants I can eat at is a sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was there eating with Bill and two of the ladies who always wait on us. They're adorable. They're just adorable. They're both Thai. And or one's Thai and one's Vietnamese. I don't know. Anyway, the one, I think she is Vietnamese. She came up to me the last time we were there and she said, they are always asking me horticultural questions. Once
Right?
they figured out that I had an Instagram, they both follow me and they think I'm hilarious, which makes me laugh. I'm not sure I'm hilarious, but to them I am. So they asked me all these really hard questions that I usually end up during my dinner doing research real fast because they're always about plants that nobody would grow here unless you were
Yes.
Thai or Vietnamese, right?
Right.
Well, here's the one I got asked about last time. It's called longan fruit, which is also known as dragon's fruit. There's those dragons again.
Yep.
And one of them wants to grow it. And I'm going to try the botanical name, Dimacharpus longan. And that's how she pronounces it, longan, an emphasis on the G. And it's a tropical tree species, so it probably would do well here in the summertime. And it produces these weird edible fruits. And she adores it. And so she wants to be able to grow it. And I was like, well, here's the thing.
Well, we don't
You would
know.
have to find somewhere to buy it. And I said, those things can sometimes be hard. So I suggested she go to Logie's Nursery because they carry
Uh-huh.
weird stuff.
Right?
And she goes, they have it all over. She was telling me at home, she may be Thai. She was telling me at home, they have them everywhere. You can just go pick the fruit. And I was like, I understand that, but we're colder. You guys are
Exactly.
tropical. It doesn't work that way. So it's similar to the lychee fruit, but it is a little less pungent for taste. And oh, yeah, it's Vietnamese. So it literally means dragon eye because there's a black seed in the middle of it. And I couldn't understand what she was saying at first. And so she brought me a picture and I was like, oh. And so I just thought it was very interesting. It's from tropical Asia and China.
That is interesting. And it's one of those things that once something like that gets mentioned, I bet you and I both encounter it within the next week and like,
Over and over again. Because for one
exactly.
thing, we have our phones sitting here. So there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
They
there's
do
that.
listen.
Stupid phones. I'll do a quote and we'll talk about rabbit holes. It's another poem. The world is very old, but year by year it groweth new again when buds appear. The world is very old and sometimes sad, but when the daisies come, the world is glad. The world is very old, but every spring it groweth young again, and fairies sing. And that is Cecily Mary Barker, famous for her flower fairies. And we've talked about her
Yeah,
in the past. We bought all those books. I did. I bought all those books.
I have a couple of them. Yeah.
I got the set that I bought from Folio Books.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a little cardboard or case thing, and they're all cute as can be.
Very, very cute. When we have estate sales, they're gonna know what to do with all of our stuff because it's so unique. But that's fine. I don't care. All right. So rabbit holes, you want me to do mine first? Because it's
Sure.
speaking of books. All right. So I was online, big mistake. And I was
Yes.
on Instagram, and the Instagram I was at was Rue Rue de Dauphine. Sorry,
I
she's
looked
female,
at
so
it. I
Dauphine.
looked at it.
So she is super sweet. She does all things French. That particular one reel that she did, I was so excited because she had this book and it said planting the French garden or something like that. And I was like, huh? So, oh, there it is. It's in the French kitchen garden. It's called The Joys of Cultivating a Potager. And she had it out on her table while she was looking, while she was showing this little vignette of
Uh-huh.
her day. And she's so artful that she did yellow tulips in a vase, yellow something else over here, yellow and white. I mean, it was really something. It was really beautiful. So that led me down a big rabbit hole. So I went over to Thrift Books, and not only did they have in the French kitchen garden, The Joys of Cultivating a Potager, they also had the French country garden, where the past flourishes in the present. And they also had one called Potager, not the one that's written by local author Linda Vodder, but by another lady. And then they had The Art of the Kitchen Garden. They all went home for me. All of them are on their way to my house. So we will not
I
have any problem not having books this year.
I will, no, we won't. I need to know more about them.
But here's the thing, all four of those books cost me a total of $30.26,
That's pretty
and they
good.
shipped for free. So I am pretty darned excited, and they should be here soon.
So my rabbit hole is book related as well. So I went to the
Uh-huh.
half price books, and it was actually not in the old and interesting books or the nostalgia books that I look at, but in the gardening section, there was a book called The Naturalist Garden by Ruth Shaw Ernst. It's from 1987. So I decided that a 38-year-old book written by an author who died in her 90s in 2009 qualifies as a lost
Mhm.
lady. So there is very little information about her for out there on the internet. So I'm piecing things together. I mean, she wasn't even in the paper that much, except for her book.
Huh, that's
So
cool.
put a
And
couple
then,
feelers out. Yeah. And then I was there on the day that I was there, I had seen something online that it was the 100th anniversary of Flannery O'Connor's birth, the
hmm,
novelist. Yeah,
yeah, oh, I
short
know who she is.
the
I've
short
read several
story.
things by her. Yeah.
They're very different. She's known as for her short stories.
Hmm.
But anyway, so I thought, well, I'll look and see if there's anything. And I have a whole set of her short stories. I found a book of letters called Good Things Out of Nazareth. And Dee, I love books of letters. And so I thought, well, in
Hmm.
honor of Flannery's birthday, I'm going to buy this book of letters and just read them. I love reading books of letters.
So she's also really famous for writing A Good Man is Hard to Find, which is hard to read. I did not love it.
Well,
But
I went ahead and
it's,
watched a documentary. There's a movie made about her life. I didn't watch that, but there's a
I've seen it.
documentary that I watched, and they said, when one of her stories would get published, her mom's friends and stuff would be like, "What is your daughter writing?"
Yeah.
What sweet stories? No, they were not sweet stories. They were
No, they're
very,
tough. They're tough stories. Last year I think it was last year for a well-read mom, my book club, we read The Violent Bear It Away, which I actually loved. I thought it was one of the best books I've ever read. It is not an easy read either.
mm-mm.
Her stuff's brutal, and but it always has a reason. Like, and The Violent Bear It Away is it's a complicated book. And she was a very complicated thinker.
She was, and she was also a very sick woman. She died at, I
Very.
think, 38 or 39 with lupus.
Mm-hmm.
But she and her mother lived on a farm. They raised peacocks and stuff. And so she had a very rigid daily routine. They would get up, they would go to mass in the morning, and then she would come home. And from like 9 to 11, she would write. And then she said physically, that's all she was capable of writing was 2 hours every day. And some days she says, it would come out well, and some days it wouldn't. But they had she lived a very suffering life, I would say.
Yeah, she did. And she was a very intelligent woman. And I think her suffering was deeply reflected in her writing.
Yes. But
And
anyway,
and
so,
also redemption. I feel like we've just made her like somebody wouldn't want to read her, but I think she's really good.
oh, she's very good. And I think she is somebody that, you want to read some of her stuff and try to understand. And you could start by going online. I think it's on PBS. There's a documentary about her life. And then I might
Mhm.
watch the movie. I'm not sure about the movie yet, but
I don't know.
came out in
I've seen the
23.
documentary.
Ethan
Well,
Hawke directed a movie and his daughter starred in it.
oh, it could be anything.
So I'm like, I don't know
There's
about
that
that.
weird, there's that weird Ethan Hawke movie. We've never talked about this on the podcast. It came out just a few years ago, and my daughter Claire wanted to watch it. And in it, he plays an Anglican priest. And so we thought, oh, how interesting. We will watch that. No,
No.
for the newsletter, I will look it up for you guys, but it started out okay and it just got worse and worse and worse as it went along. Because basically, the Anglican priest was losing his mind. That's
So
all I'm going to say about it.
we're not going to watch it.
No, don't watch that movie. It's terrible. It's one of the
But
worst movies
anyway,
ever.
back to gardening. Let's talk about our garden commissions for this coming week, which is the last. By the time this comes out, Dee, it will be April.
Hard
This
to
comes out.
believe, right?
It is very hard to believe.
All I could think of all week long as I was working was you saying it's go time. Because, man, it is go time here.
Yeah. When did I say it was go time?
You have said that off and on throughout the years, but I just kept hearing you in my head going,
Oh,
D, it's go time.
I'm
Get with it, man.
I'm an influencer.
Yes, you are. So mine is just keep on mulching because I've got some more areas to mulch and keep the little plants alive in the greenhouse and in the other room. And next week, the temperatures are all up and down all week. And then we're
Uh-huh.
going to have a week of very, very chilly weather. I told people, I said, don't trust this weather. Don't trust it. It's Trixie
Yeah, I'm
Falls.
in short sleeves today, but
I'm in
yeah.
long because it's kind of chilly here.
Rain
We're up
is
to
coming.
70.
It's
Yeah,
supposed to be 78 today. My watch says it's 81 degrees.
well, it was cool here and I'm up to 70 now and it's really cloudy, but tomorrow we may have
I'm
wild
wildly looking up
storms.
the weather, Dee. Like, what? Is it really? Because sometimes my watch isn't right, but
It isn't caught up. Okay, so what else are you gonna do?
well, first of all, it is 81 degrees,
Darn,
but
a
tomorrow's
little
high.
hot.
Anyway, Monday's high is 49. So again, don't get too excited.
Hmm.
All right, so I've got to keep weeding. I'm going to start some seeds inside for tomatoes and peppers. Um, I'm going to pot up the elephant ears and the caladiums. I am speaking to the Herb Society of America in mid-April. We'll put a link to register if you want to watch me on Zoom talk about the Lost Ladies. So I got to work on that presentation. Continue to help my sister diagnose this horrible lawn issue.
Good
My other
Lord.
sister wants help repotting some houseplants, and she's like, I got my
Hmm.
pots now. Do you have soil? Of course I do. Um, I kind of expect my youngest sister to call up and say, you want to meet me at the greenhouse? Because she's incapable of picking out the flowers by herself. Although every once in a while she would go over there. But anyway,
Well, she
it
picks
is go
out things
time.
that don't work, and then you make fun of her.
Yeah, it is go time, and it is time for us to go from this episode, Dee. We want to thank everyone for listening to the Garden Angelist. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. We publish every week on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. Eastern Time.
And I said that we were going to add a little bit in here about how
I
we
added
now
it.
have, you did, then I
Yeah,
don't
you
need to.
just read your part real slow and
Oh,
careful.
she put it at the bottom of my part. If you subscribe to our free newsletter, you get a link to listen to the podcast a whole day early and links to products that we discuss. Some of these are affiliate links. And now we are putting the video of us on YouTube. And so you can see us. Go check out those and give us a thumbs up and subscribe so that the algorithm decides we are worthy.
Because we are worthy, Dee.
We are.
But if you want to help us support us in other ways, use our affiliate links. If you buy something after clicking through on them, we're in a small commission and it costs you nothing.
Or you can set up a monthly subscription through Buzzsprout. Thank you. Or make a one-time donation through PayPal. Thank you.
We want to thank everyone who has done so. It helps us pay for podcast hosting.
It was lovely to chat with all of you over the Garden Gate. Bye until next week.
Bye, everybody. Now, hang on, Dee. This is for the bonus of the video. I'm going to run and see what book the postman got. I'll be right back. Hold on. Considering this left its destination in Fort Wayne on the 10th of March.
That
And
is
what's
so
today?
dumb.
The 28th. So I thought it'd be in worse shape than it is.
No, it's just been sitting in one of those bins.
Yeah, it's been sitting in a bin forever. Anyway, let's just
You're gonna
say,
pop that
oh,
open and then we're gonna record something?
this is the bonus part, Dee.
Oh,
Oh, look. Carol has her copy. We'll have to put another link to it. Look at that. Jane Austen's Garden. I'll
Whew,
tell you
glad you
what,
got that. Wow. What a
I am
weird
happy to
thing.
have it.
I'm
Whew.
glad you have it too.
Golly geez. Okay, that's it. Now you can say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. It was nice talking to you.